I want the audience to see, I've got two of the compact launchers right here. And I love the black one because it looks like a real gun, I have to say. Now, there's nothing in here. I've been pulling the trigger because there's nothing in here, and I know that, and we've checked. But it's it's a cool looking pistol because it does resemble a real gun. And in the moment, God forbid you get confronted by an intruder, I have to say, this is something that a lot of my friends in particular who have had no training on guns would feel comfortable taking out, because every woman I know who hasn't been trained in guns is concerned about having a gun because she's convinced it'll be used against her and she doesn't want to get killed. And this is a way, I think, where a woman can have something that could protect her and she doesn't have to worry that, God forbid, it gets turned on her, that she's dead. I mean, do you get that kind of feedback from a lot of your customers?
We do. I mean, there's tremendous stopping power with the Burna. And I'll tell you, Megyn, I've been a gun owner my entire life. But I always wondered, how quick would I be to pull the trigger? And I had an experience about a decade ago, which really informed me as to how quick I would be to pull the trigger. I was in a road rage incident, and there was a guy that was right on my bumper, and he was banging his horn, and I really got nervous, and I pulled off to the side of the road, thinking that he would go around me. But he didn't. He pulled in right behind me, and he got out of his truck, and I've got a Glock 19, my 9mm in the glove box, and I'm thinking, do I get out of the car with my gun or do I get out without my gun? And I'm thinking nothing good can happen if I get out of the car with my gun. So I got out without a gun, and nothing good happened. I mean, this guy was bigger, younger, stronger, angrier, and he came at me and he threw me to the ground, and, he could have really hurt me. Fortunately, all he really hurt was my pride. But I realized at that moment that if I wasn't prepared to pull the trigger, the gun was of no value to me. And although I am an avid 2A supporter, I was not going to shoot an unarmed man. And that was kind of the genesis of Burna. We wanted to give somebody the ability to stop an assailant, to hold them at bay, to call the police, but without the risk of taking a life. And that's what Burna is really designed for.
I think it's a good supplement, so a lot of people listening to this program will have firearms in their home.
Yes.
And, but you're right, not every situation calls for it. And so why wouldn't you supplement, depending on the situation? You don't always have to go to an 11 where you actually are placing, a possible fatality out there as one of the outcomes. But with Burna, you're not. Can you explain the two different kinds of ammunition that you can put in the Burna pistol? So here's one. I've got these kinetic projectiles. This is one of the things you get. The audience can see. It looks almost like a gumball. You'd have to keep that away from the kids and the dogs. Strudwick is my main concern with my Burna kinetic projectiles. But explain the two types of ammo.
Okay, well, first off, just to get back to this continuum of force that you were talking about, the police have everything from, a voice command to baton, pepper spray, taser, all the way up to their firearm. For most civilians, they don't have anything between, a voice command and a gun. And the Burna was to give them something a little bit further down in the continuum of force. We make two different projectiles. The kinetic projectile, which you were just showing, is what I got hit with. And that is basically a high-grade polymer, looks kind of like a marble, and it has tremendous pain compliance, is what the police refer to it as, meaning it hurts like hell. And you get hit with it, and the vast majority of people are going to, turn and run. But some people might be able to power through it. For those people, we have these chemical irritant rounds. They're filled with either pepper, OC, oleoresin capsaicin, or with CS, which is tear gas. And what this does is the pellets explode when they hit the person. They form this cloud around their head. Immediately, they're temporarily blinded. Their skin is on fire. They're in respiratory distress. Most people drop whatever they're holding. They move their hands to their eyes because their eyes are on fire. And they generally get down on their hands and knees. And
Brian, let me show that, because we have a video of that kind of projectile in SOT 52.
Yeah.
So you
can see this person is not having a good day.
He's writhing. He's like waving his hands, trying to get the smell away from. He's crawling. taking off his shirt. He's trying to get like relief.
Yeah, your skin feels like it's on fire. Anything where that chemical irritant has touched your skin will be burning.
Who's this poor guy who agreed to this?
This was actually one of our employees down in South Africa. We had a much easier time in South Africa getting people to agree to get shot for a few $100s than we did here in the U.S.
Oh my God. But it does bring it home. So wait, so how would it work then? Like, do you have to have two guns with the different projectiles?
No, the way I load my gun, and the way I would recommend that you load your gun, Megyn, is I put in the 3 chemical irritant projectiles first, so they come out last. And then I put in the 2 hard kinetic projectiles. In most cases, the kinetic projectile will be more than adequate. You know, you'll shoot somebody once and they will turn on their heels and run. But if they are committed, if they're going to power through, you want to be able to physically stop them, as we just saw with that video, where you incapacitate them through temporary blindness, respiratory distress, intense burning sensation. Interestingly, though, most times the Burna is used, nobody even pulls the trigger. So I was on a podcast maybe 2 months ago, and I can't remember the guy's name, but he wrote that book, More Guns, Less Crime. And he's a strong 2A proponent. And he says 95% of the time, when you pull out a gun to stop an assailant, you don't have to pull the trigger. Just the idea of fighting back.
John Locke. Yeah, I think he's been on the program.
Exactly, John Locke.
Yeah. So just you pull it, and that's enough to deter people. But I will say something I like about the chemical irritating rounds, like the next level round, is you don't actually have to have a direct hit for it to work. Like you could have an intruder and you could shoot the wall right next to them if your aim is not so great and still take them down.
Well, there is a certain horseshoes and hand grenades aspect to this. All you need to do is get near the assailant. But the police have really created an art out of this. So, for example, we're carried by over 300 police agencies. The most dangerous thing in policing is you come up on a car, the windows are blackened, the people are not getting out of the car. You have no idea whether they've got a gun in the car. And, if you ask any law enforcement officer, this is the single most difficult traffic stop. What they've been able to do with the Burna is to shoot out the windows with the kinetic rounds. So one round will take out the window, and then to fire the chemical irritant rounds into the car. And what happens, it's like a clown car where all these people come out, with their hands up, coughing, choking, getting down on their hands and knees. So law enforcement uses it quite often where they can't even see the person they're shooting at, but they can shoot rounds into a car, into a room, into some area where they want to get the people out of that car or out of that room.
Mm-hmm. Like I was thinking about, remember after the George Floyd incident in 2020, when these flash mobs for like 2 years would show up at the 7-Eleven or some local store and go into the store and loot this, there'd be looting, there'd be just rabble rousing. This, to me, would be the perfect kind of weapon to have because you don't actually want to shoot someone to death, but you feel under threat and you do want them to get out. And you could shoot the floor, away from yourself and ideally get them out of there if you can't get police help. And in too many communities in America, they're not close to police help. They really are on their own.
Well, look at what's going on in Washington, D.C. So Washington, D.C. is out of control. Thank God the president has federalized the police. He's brought in the National Guard. But not every city has federalized police or National Guard. And in most places, like you said, you are your own first responder. You cannot rely on the police getting there in time. And you need to have something to protect yourself. And honestly, nobody wants to shoot, a 15-year-old kid. But none of us want to be a victim. You need to have something that you can use to protect yourself. And, although I've been an avid gun owner my whole life, and I've never given up any of my guns, I carry a Burna, which I can use first. I still have my Glock 19 in the glove box, but I'm going to try my Burna first. If that doesn't work, if they have a gun, then I'll pull out my lethal firearm, but I'll first go to non-lethal.
Yes, I think a lot of people feel that way, especially given how litigious people are in today's day and age. I know that 95% of your sales are to consumers, 5% to law enforcement. You can get a pistol or you can get a rifle, and you can get the compact Burna like I have, but I have the full-size Burna too. I've got a few of these guns, and I have to tell you, I feel a lot safer thanks to Burna.